Hey guys, I'm going to talk about how I got into metal detecting and relic hunting. And when I was in high school, I set the record for the 600-yard dash uh, in the President's Fitness Test, and it was all over the whole country. And they were trying to get uh, kids to do sports, because it's good for you. And I ended up, I guess, my senior year in high school, I started running the half mile instead of the mile, and I had every record in the school from the quarter mile to the 2 mile, and I set the won the regionals, and I set the state record, and I ended up winning the state record. I mean, becoming state champion. And after I went to college on a scholarship, I stepped on a rock the first month I was there and broke 3 bones in my heel, and they couldn't see any cracks because of the way they took pictures down and they didn't do them up. And I later found out how one of my friends' father was a doctor, and he turned my ankle a different way and said I got 3 broken bones, but they're healing. And I when I was recovering, I was watching some tennis and stuff, and ended up liking it. So I ended up playing at a pretty high level, and I was able to take sets off some of the Davis Cup players, and I used to play against NFL players and NBA guys, and uh, uh, even took sets off a couple Davis Cup players. We used to play at Barcroft Park over in Arlington, and it was a big hangout for the good players. And then later on, when I had a tennis shop, and I started getting injuries from tennis, and I had a friend, Mike, and he was into metal detecting, and I thought, wow, that's weird. Never seen that. And then I remembered I'd seen a woman at Ocean City, Maryland, on the beach metal detecting when I was a kid. So I ended up buying a Tesoro Royal Saber. And so the first day I went out in Alexandria, it's got a lot of history, and I decided, found out that there was a World War II housing project that also had gone into welfare, and it was they had all these little houses up there and stuff, and so I decided to go up there, and I noticed that a lot of the houses were abandoned, and so I started on this little strip of grass, and didn't know anything. I just started swinging and got a signal, and I started digging memorial pennies, and I got down toward the end near the intersection, and I started getting some wheat pennies, and then I looked up, and there was 3 guys came up to me, and they were asking me how come didn't have a whites metal detector, and I said, well, I don't know anything about it. This is my first time out, and so I started going up there pretty much every day after work, and started finding. Well, when I went home that day, I hunted just a little curb strip right in front of my house, and the first signal I got a walking Liberty $50. And I was going, oh my God, look at this. And so I decided, to keep hunting up there, and started hunting the front yards of all these little houses that were there, and started digging a lot of Mercury dimes and Roosevelt dimes and silver quarters. Got a few $50, and it became a really fun hobby. And so after work, I was going up there all the time, and the cool thing about it was a couple years later, I dug probably about 50,000 coins over a couple years. And so then they just found out that they were going to bulldoze the whole place and put in what became this shopping center and some higher end houses. And so I started thinking, I've got to find some other spots in Alexandria during the Civil War. Right behind my house was there was a fort in the field, and it was named after the first martyr of the Civil War, Colonel Ellsworth. He stole a Confederate flag from this house, and the owner of the flag shot him with a shotgun, and then the other soldiers shot him and bayoneted him, and they were the first martyrs of the Civil War, which was pretty cool. And the hill that I was on, 150,000 troops. They put a fort there after him called Fort Ellsworth, and so 150,000 troops that came in. They came across from D.C. into Virginia to start the war, basically. And so there was, from what I found out later, there was hundreds of thousands of bullets in the ground up there, and people used to go out at night and stuff and dig, bullets up and whatnot. And later on, my yard was just loaded with coins and a lot of Civil War, bullets and even eagle buttons and stuff. So I got it. It was a pretty cool hobby, and I ended up later on. I decided to start selling metal detectors out of my tennis shop, and after that, I kept upgrading my machines, and over the years, I had like 54 personal machines over the years. But I got into some parks, and I got several permits. One was for the parks in Arlington County, Virginia, and they had a lot of parks, and I dug a lot of silver coins and stuff all over the place. And and then there was a park. Well, there was a place called Chickapin next to my high school, and it was kind of a park, but nobody went there. And I got permission from an archaeologist that saw me, head archaeologist that saw me metal detecting there. I went up there on New Year's Day one time and found a bunch of stuff, and then she ended up giving me permission to hunt. And so I hunted that field for about a year, and ended up finding probably about 50,000 coins in that area. And there had been, World War II housing project there also. And it was pretty cool. It kind of led me into this adventure, over the years. And I ended up selling metal detectors. And then I guess about 10 I don't know, it was over 10 years ago. Uh, I started buying machines. I was one of the first people to buy in this area to buy a Mine Lab Explorer, and then later on I got a Bliss tool and a XP Deus, and the Bliss tool was just a phenomenal machine. I ended up being contacted by this guy named Derek, and we started being a moderator on his site, and then he decided he was going to get a contract to sell, the Bliss tool metal detectors, and so I was making a lot of finds because I was in an area that was Florida. He lived in Florida, and he just wasn't finding it as much as I was, but I was doing really good with that thing, and he ended up, he was going to turn it into a business and sell them. So he asked me to be his partner, and I was, putting out a lot of videos and stuff on it, and we were trying to find out a way to do advertising, and I'd been listening to some podcasts, and there was kind of a new thing, and I told him, I said, why don't we do a podcast? And so I'm a good talker, and I'm not afraid to talk in front of people or anything, and he was kind of not quite as good as me, but he got, into it after a while. But we started this show called the Hardcore Metal Detecting Radio Show, and we ended up, becoming one of the bigger, podcasts as far as metal detecting went. And we'd had some amazing guests, call, and I was on the internet, I started into YouTube, and filming everything, and I started getting people from Europe and stuff talking to me, and most of them would have to talk to people up like in Bulgaria and Albania, and they used Russian English in order to talk to me, which was pretty wild. But it's been a heck of an adventure, and I've had some amazing things, found over the years, and so I live in Middletown now, which was part of the battlefield goes right across my property, and down the street it's one of the biggest battlefields. It's been protected, and it's one of the few that the National Park Service, they kind of incorporated it so they didn't have to worry about the Park Service, and so I found, I started looking at this house, and I ended up buying the house. And the first week I was out in my front yard, I got a signal, and I dug a breastplate, eagle breastplate from a Union soldier, and I started finding bullets. And if you watch I have a lot of videos up on my YouTube channel where I dug stuff over the years there, but it was pretty cool. So right now I'm using, the last two machines I got were the Mine Lab the latest one I got is the Manicore, and then I had the Equinox right before that, Mine Lab Equinox 800, and both those machines were phenomenal, and I've done really good on those. So tell me what you think, guys. All right. Hey, guys, I'm going to be doing a talk about some of the sites that I hunted in the Alexandria area. And I found out there was a guy was hunting a church off of I think it was Franconia Road, and it was a main camp, and he hunted it for a couple of years and ended up finding about, I think it was about 20 $1 gold pieces. And some of the troops, when they first got into the Civil War, uh, were paid by their state. And two of the richest states were New York and Connecticut, and they were paid by the state themselves, and instead of the army. And there was little camps all over the place, and uh, ended up getting into a bunch of yards. I even dug it near George Washington's plantation, and I ended up I dug a nice I think it was a 1820 quarter there, and and the guy that was with me was jumping up and down. He couldn't believe it. But they started doing there was a lot of undeveloped land in Alexandria. Now there's none. And found out that the next two, well, they started bulldozing up these power lines right next to the main camp. Turned out there was two camps right next to it. And so I started going up there and finding a lot of stuff, and a lot of buttons. And they it was like, early in the war, and so that, they had all the brand new jackets and stuff with all their buttons and insignias and stuff. So it was pretty cool. And I ended up getting Arlington County also had a lot of activity in forts, and several forts and stuff, and it was pretty cool. I started finding a lot of coins and Civil War bullets all over that area. And the permission lasted about 5 years, and then they got all upset that we were stealing history or something. But a lot of these places were being bulldozed, and so I started meeting people, and I got together with a couple of guys, and they were, we were hunting, and then this guy, I said, and I'm hearing about. There's a lot of stuff down at Stafford County, Virginia, which is about 35, 40 miles away. And it was right on Route 1. And Route 1 was George Washington and the French army had marched from Alexandria down there and got on boats in Stafford County and Botany Bay, and gone on to fight Cornwallis to end the war. And so there was, we found, over the years, we found colonial stuff at little house sites that were on that route. So it was pretty cool. Hey, it's Craig, and later on we started metal detecting, and we were looking, for construction sites and stuff. And then I found out about Stafford County, and there was a fire station on it. I think it was Leland Road, and they gave us permission to park. And so I remember I walked up in the woods behind the place, and right off the bat I found a 3-ring bullet and some round balls. And over the years, we ended up losing that site as far as parking, but we got other sites. There was we started going into the woods, and there was the whole woods was just huge. After the Battle of Fredericksburg, Stonewall Jackson routed the Union Army, and they ended up retreating into Stafford County, and they stayed there the whole winter. Uh, there was 150,000 troops there, and there was just little camps all over the place, and there was some home sites and stuff. And I found out from a guy that there was this tavern right off the railroad tracks, and a lot of the modern railroad tracks they just followed the old railroad tracks. And so me and a friend went up there, and we started in the woods, and he kind of ran ahead, and I saw like this area that looked like a little house site, and I went over there, and right off the bat I dug a really cool coin. I think it was a 1850. Well, it might have been more than that. I think it was it was 17. I think it was 1755, and it was a Spanish real, but it had been cut in half, and a lot of people were saying, oh man, that's too bad. And I said, hey, it's from the 1850, 1750. How cool is that? It was like the oldest coin ever found, and so we started just hunting all these house sites and little house sites, and then there was camps all over the place. There was probably 3 or 4 or 5 forts that were still there in good condition, and all around those forts we'd find bullets and all kinds of stuff. And was also in Alexandria. They started bulldozing all these areas to put in the houses, and a lot of them were, right on top of the early Civil War camps. A lot of them were in New York and Connecticut, and they were rich, and the state provided them with beautiful uniforms and paid them in silver and, Indian head pennies and stuff like that. So, we're doing pretty good on that. But it's been a pretty cool adventure, and I've actually hunted all over the area and all over. We started going into Fairfax County, and we had a spot in Gainesville at one point, and all those areas now are just there's no woods left. It's all housing that they put in. It's destroyed those areas, but luckily we got in and found a lot of stuff. And this place where I'm living in Middletown, Virginia, and it's an old town. I ended up buying a 1880 house, and my yard was loaded with stuff. I think first 2 weeks I was here, the first thing I really found cool was the breastplate, and then I found with the bliss tool, I stuck it underneath this low-hanging tree and got a signal, and I dug down about 9 inches, and I started pulling nail after nail after nail out of the hole, and then all of a sudden an 1853 quarter, Seat at Liberty quarter popped out. And I even found a 1820 real in the yard, and hundreds of coins right along the fence line next to the sidewalk. I found over 400 coins, and over the years every time I'd upgrade it to a new detector, I'd go over it. So I'm probably up to about 500 coins out of that front yard there, and I found large cents, a couple King George coins that were from the 1700s, and a lot of buttons. There was tons of buttons, eagle buttons. I think I got a couple New Yorks, a lot of flat buttons. There were some that were pewter. So I learned a lot about the artifacts, and The one thing I never did was I never sold anything. And a lot of the guys up here, they were looking for stuff to sell. So there was a lot of activity up. I live on Route 11, and there was the soldiers had marched up and down Route 11 during the war. Winchester's just up the street, and they had a ton of stuff in there, but now it's been built over so much. It's like a mega city. It's all concrete and asphalt. So, but it's a great hobby. It really gives you a rush when you find something good. All right, guys. This is everything on this table is what I found in my yard here, and the breastplate on the right doesn't have the that's the first one I found in the front yard, but it doesn't have the skin on it. And then next to it to the left is a skin that I found. It was about 14 inches deep under this lilac bush, and there's some of the bullets and stuff I found. These are flat buttons up here. I even found tomback buttons from the 1700s in my yard. These are 2 frags from artillery shells that were found in the yard. Found a lot of pieces and stuff. And I found these are clay marbles. Found a lot of little buttons and marbles. So I think there was a clothesline in my yard, and there was a lot of stuff dropped under the clotheslines. I've even found some arrowheads. This is the latest one I found. And I was digging a signal, and I stuck the knife in the ground and popped it up, and this arrowhead just popped out of the ground. I got, not sure where they are, but I got some other the white white quartz arrowheads. This is a weird thing I found up the street. There was Indian artifacts found there, and a lot of bullets and stuff. But I've always wondered if this isn't something that was carved or something into, some kind of tool or something. This is pretty cool. This is a sad iron. It's like a baby iron to iron your clothes. These are some other buckles and stuff. This is funny. I dug this up, and the dirt was on it, and I thought it was it's like a little Civil War plate or something, but it's an Exxon. It says Exxon on it. It's probably on a pump, gas pump. Here's some other buckles and stuff, and some more shards that went off the artillery shells. This was stuck in this was a tap for probably a wooden barrel. Might have had beer or whiskey in it. All right, guys.